I'm asking this as a serious question. If you love people or if you love someone, you're honest with them, right? Well, then why is it that me, being honest with a no bullshit kind of way, does everybody immediately look for the exit? They don't want to hear reality. This lady came in and she got a giant dinosaur and didn't want it to touch the counter because whoever touches the counter, she doesn't know all the things that touch the counter. But then she bought Spam, ham, Pepsi, and a bunch of other junk things. And I'm like, well, it's a good way to think because, you're going to give this to a kid. You don't want them to have something that went against the counter that had who knows what on it. But you know what this is, and you're still going to eat it. I'm like, are you going to give this to the kids that you're talking about? And she's like, oh, they love it. And I said, do you think Spam has any nutritional value to it? It's actually negatively nutritious. Is that something that you want to really give to your quote-unquote loved ones? Or are they the ones that you deal with and got used to because you had them? I know it's not fun to look at it that way, but do you really love your kids? Or do you give them things to keep them quiet and out of your hair? It looks like more people are just trying to keep their kids out of their hair. But the reason they're like that is because they're around a whole bunch of other kids whose parents are doing the same thing. And even if you're a person who really goes above and beyond and makes sure you're taking care of your kids and keeping them in your mind and worrying about their health and trying to make sure that they grow up right, you're going to have all kinds of other people giving them negative influences. So therefore, the best thing to do is to start talking out about what's going on in the world and where we need to fix it. I know a lot of these recordings and a lot of these videos are the same thing because there's really only one purpose here, and it's to clean up our act and to clean up the shit instead of embracing it. Who in their right mind thinks that they should embrace the bullshit of the world and enjoy it and then teach their kids to grow up doing it as it gets worse and worse? I can't imagine anybody with a brain that functions properly thinking that that's a good idea. But I see 99% of the people that I come across doing that exact thing. Here's what I'd like people to understand. I'm not trying to blame everything all on the government because, of course, it can't be. Let's say with my kids' situation, the ones that I haven't seen in 5 years, their mother is the main blame. Their mother is the one who used the system to manipulate the whole process and do what she's doing. And she's the one making the choice to not bring them to see me. But then she used the court system to back her up. And now that we've had our court system stuff, they're involved. And because I've acted the way I did towards them, because my kids come before their opinions, now they're involved more because they make it their right to just intrude in lives. So that's why it ends up going to the government. The mom's just sitting back there doing nothing, and I don't know how to get a hold of her. And she's got me blocked in every way. So it originates from the mom. It's all a big, huge story, all stuck together and continuing to be stuck together. And what I'm saying all this for is because when I open my heart and I tell people the reason that I'm not just happy every moment of the day is because for going on 5 years, my kids have not seen me, and my kids need me. Every moment of the day, if you have kids, if something comes up and your kids are hurting or they need you or there's something going on and there's a concern, they need you. Usually, if you're a good parent, you'll drop what's going on because your kids will come first now. You're responsible for a life, or that life is part of you, and you're going to make sure that it's okay. Well, that's how I felt for going on 5 years. So when I tell somebody and I open my heart and I tell them why I'm not just ecstatic every moment of the day, and they go, oh, I just believe that spreading your light on the world will reflect back on you positive thoughts and make a positive life, brother. I'm like, that's not going to bring my kids back. And talking about these situations is not going to be fun. So please, don't just give me your positive thought crap. Please. There are an awful lot of people in the movements, whether they're the freedom movement, the spiritual awakening, or just humanity coming to understand that we're spiritual beings in a human body, or having the human experience, or that we're part of the quantum field, whichever way people want to say it. It's really concerning when a lot of people start studying all this old stuff and saying things like they understand it when they don't. People think the draconian society is some group of dark wizards. I guess you could say that because they're creating spells by talking and telling people certain things and lying to them. So yeah, they're using words and they're making up what it is. So they're wizards. But I'm not trying to play with a word right there. All people have to do is manipulate you when your mind is not guarded and something that shouldn't be there sinks in and then takes over space in your brain and you start thinking that that's what is, and it's not. the draconian society, just like the word dragon with a G that represents generating and grouping. D is a to and from symbol, like a doorway. So literally D is to and from. And then you have Ra, the sun, or the reference of action that comes to and from. Then draconian with O-N after D-R-A-C instead of D-R-A-G. With the C, it's constant to itself and unseen. Ongoing notion, identified, active notion. They want to take to and from a reference of active, constant to itself, ongoing notion, and then identify that active notion. They want to tell people what to do or take things from you and do whatever they want with it. Draconian means to take from. Drake is to take. A D reference, then ake is the same thing as T. Take and Drake are the same thing. Now when you give it a word for a different thing, like a duck, a drake, now it's a to and from the reference of active kinetic expression because that specific thing lives over the water. And it comes to and from the reference of active kinetic expression, and there it's the water. But when you have a drake with a D-R-A-C, that's the constant to itself ongoing notion when you say dracon and then I-A-N. Now a dragon is literally the idea of the sun that comes to and from Ra, generating and grouping an ongoing notion or nature. That's a dragon. That's exactly what a dragon is. You can't fight the dragon. You can't ward off the dragon. Unless you're just trying to do what criminal societies that are trying to block the sun, thinking that's going to do something good for us. When we know that creation works through the sun, not Jesus, the sun, the sunlight that comes, something that we can actually see, but yet not see, because you're not seeing the light touching the ground in every aspect, and you're not looking out in the air saying, hey, I see a blue sky, that must mean the sun's out, and I'm looking through the sun. Of course you are. Of course you live through that Christ, the concept here that rises. Concept here, Christ. Of course. Now I'm really saying what is. A lot of people want to look for an explanation that makes more sense to them because they're not ready to understand the depth and the simplicity of reality. Reality is simple. Quit busting things up and things won't be broken. Wow. Quit poisoning yourself and you won't be unhealthy. What do you know? Quit giving your kids junk, and they won't be so out of control and unable to concentrate. What do you know? It's crazy. All I gotta do is do the right things, and more of the right things will happen for me. That's how it works, yeah. But now, because we have so many people in place doing the wrong things to us, we've got an extra level to work through now. We've got to say no to the people that are actually causing the harm, instead of just worrying about what we do for ourselves. We've got to do that as well. That's a priority. That's a big priority. You got to know how to take care of yourself. But you've also got to stand up to the people who are harming you. And that happens to be some of the people that we're supposed to trust the most. And if they talk you into trusting them and you just blindly do, you are at a very weak point where they can do so much to you and neglect you, misuse you, mistreat you. And a lot of people will thank them for it like they're some kind of heroes because they don't know how to take care of themselves. The only person who looks for somebody else to do something for them obviously is somebody who doesn't know how to do it themselves, or they're too lazy to want to do it for themselves and they just want handouts. If any of what I said is wrong, please, I ask you from the bottom of my heart to start conversing with me and discussing things, and we can get into some deeper things than you've ever imagined talking about or ever imagined knowing, because you won't be guessing anymore once you talk to me. You'll know, but that's also up to you understanding and taking it in, because it's a lot to take in at first, although it's simple. But because we've been so overcomplicated, simple seems to be the most difficult thing for people to deal with at this point in time. Can't stop this feeling in my body. Well, maybe that means you need to learn control. And if you get that in a kid's mind at a young age, happy cartoon characters singing, I can't stop this feeling in my body, well, what do you think that might do? You're just supposed to keep on dancing. The world's falling apart. Don't worry about it. The world's falling apart around you and burning down. Dance. Dance the night away. Do you see how that's just stupid? And then you have something like Shakira, Hips Don't Lie, and the guy says, you want to make a man speak Spanish? Her name, first of all, is shake her ass. And she shakes her hips, and her hips don't lie, shaking her ass. And then you have a guy who says, we make a man want to speak Spanish, and she's singing in English, so why do you want to speak Spanish? You don't make any sense. Just think about what you're saying, okay? Think about it. You're talking about a woman who's this song, she's dancing, and she's singing in English, but you want to speak Spanish? That you make no sense. So then, just think of Madonna and what her name means. And then we move into some actresses like Demi Moore, to and from the express manifested identity, to manifest ongoing upon itself as a reference to express. She had a flat chest years and years ago and popped back out with big whopping boobers for striptease. And Demi Moore, to and from the expressed manifested identity, manifest ongoing upon itself, reference expressing. Demi Moore, don't you see these are sins of the flesh? Not necessarily the way the Bible says, but when you yearn for satisfaction or desires and pleasures and sensual stuff, there's a balance to it. It's okay to enjoy it. But to let that drive you is what these things actually create in your mind. It makes you want to have sensual, affectionate, erotic pleasure. And it's literally the idea of hedonism. But nobody sees it that way because it's all flashy and it's pretty girls and sweet voices and a guy who sings and he's really sweet. They don't even know that they're doing this to the level that they're doing it. They may know somewhat, of course, but I'm not going to say they're parts of agendas because the agenda is universal. There's smaller agendas within it, but I see the big one, and I'm telling you that everybody is exactly in their place, and if you don't see it yet, then it's just coincidence that all the names and all the places and all the things are named the way that I only am explaining it. But you want to say, that's fine, I don't care. Hey, I guess what you're saying about the animals and stuff makes sense, but I like it, so I'm going to do it. That means you're sinning on purpose, and you're killing and taking other life for your own pleasure and desires. That's wrong. Same thing when it comes to pigging out on junk food. Same thing when it goes to wanting to make your kids happy by giving them junk so they shut up. That's all hedonism. It's you not wanting to work through what needs to be worked through to be the best person you can be. And it's not me trying to say that to make fun of you. That's what it is. That's what you're here to learn and do. It's hard. It's very hard. But if you have someone like me to guide you, it can happen. And I'm here waiting to help you when you're ready to help yourself. Unfortunately, many people won't want to hear this because we live in such a modern-day world. But nevertheless, they need to know that technology will never be the answer. Too many individuals are searching for a quick fix. What the greater portion of humanity does not want to face is that the problem we need to solve will not take a push-button solution to fix. It's going to take hands-on involvement. It's going to take hard work. And one of the toughest things for many people to accept is that it's going to take time. Many of the solutions that we could have had very positive results from are things that many people just don't have the determination and self-discipline to carry through on. Or they give up before getting to a point where they actually see the true effects taking place. Instead of a solution, what has technology actually become? Well, for many, technology has been the distraction that keeps you from looking at the problem and allows you to run away into your own fantasy world where you can get to see magic and wonder and all the good things you like. On top of that, technology has made it so that we can destroy our resources at an even faster rate, with many people not even taking into consideration what havoc that they are actually allowing to take place, or in many cases, being the cause of. When you think about all of these things, you have to realize that nature needs us to stop being so technologically, quote-unquote, advanced or inquisitive. We need to come back to being naturally alive. No button to push is going to save nature that needs time to restore. And we need to calm down our activities and stop doing so much shit. Just think about it and take it into consideration, and let's discuss it. I say this out of love. I care about the planet I live on and all of the living beings in it. So until next time, peace and God bless.